talking about digital Hindu women and the challenges faced by them. So I could just narrate my own story and that will fill up several pages, but that is not something I need to do. I will tell you about a few experiences, but that's not the point. See, a lot of people talk about today and say that we talk about this issue, we talk about Stree Shakti because tomorrow is International Women's Day and all of that. I want to ask all of you, how many of you know the origins of Women's Day? When did it start? Where did it start? How many of you know? Please raise your hands. Nobody? International Women's Day was started because on March 8th, sometimes in 1917 or 18, women in Russia marched on the streets of Moscow because they had got voting rights. So they were very happy because they had got it after a lot of fight. So they marched together to celebrate it, and it became, for them, a Women's Day. After that, a lot of communist countries also adopted it. My dates may be wrong, but it started in Russia. It's only in 1977 that the United Nations started calling it International Women's Day. And since then, we have embraced it without even realizing that it has got no connection to Indian history, to Indian heritage, to anything. Just because UN says it's International Women's Day, we say it's International Women's Day. But do we really need an International Women's Day? Isn't every day an International Women's Day? Isn't every day a Women's Day? The other thing is, a lot of people talk about Stree Shakti. That word I have a problem with. Because it's a double word. It's like saying yellow pitambar. Stree is Shakti. So what do you mean by Stree Shakti? By definition in our Shastras, in our philosophy, Stree is Shakti. She is half of Purusha. She is Prakriti. And that is why I find it very, I used to find it amusing, now I just get angry. When people from other religions tell me that Hinduism is misogynistic, how can any religion that offers complete half of Purusha as Prakriti and celebrates women be misogynistic? How can any religion, any living religion in the world that worships the divine in male form as well as female form, as Purusha as well as Prakriti, as Shiv as well as Shakti, how can that religion be called a misogynistic religion? That too by somebody who believes that Eve came out of Adam's rib. And they tell us that you are misogynistic, that you hate women, that you keep women oppressed. And why do we take it? Because we don't know our own history. For past 70 years, we have been taught nothing in schools, if at all. We have been taught to demean ourselves, to demean our own heritage, to say that whatever good we have is universal. For example, yoga, universal. Ayurveda, universal. Meditation, universal. There's nothing Hindu about it. That is what they are trying to tell you. But what is unique about Hinduism? The few ills that we had and that we are working to fight it, those they'll tell you is uniquely Hindu. So caste prejudice, very Hindu. Sati, very Hindu. That is what is the propaganda that has been constantly drilled into your heads, right from it's there in newspaper reports, it's there in school books, it's there in the news shows, it's there now on social media as well. So when you are taught consciously to hate your roots, to hate your heritage, to hate your religion, and to say that the minute you start to assert yourself, the minute you start saying that yes, I am a proud Hindu, हाँ मैं हिंदू हूँ और इसमें कोई अपराध नहीं है, कपिल मिश्रा जी made us say that. मुझे दुख होता है कि इस देश में जहाँ पे अभी भी हिंदू मेजॉरिटी है, यहाँ हमको ऐसी स्टेज पे ये बोलना पड़ता है कि हाँ मैं हिंदू हूँ, इसमें मेरा कोई अपराध नहीं है. Why do we even need to say it? It's obvious. That I am a Hindu is a very integral part of my being. And that is why it's very important for me as a person who has the ability to express myself, to say it loud and clear and in your face that yes, I am a Hindu. करना है जो कर लो, उखाड़ना है जो उखाड़ लो. हाँ मैं हिंदू हूँ. ये मेरी आइडेंटिटी है. जब मैंने सोशल मीडिया पे लिखना शुरू किया तो 2009 का समय था ये, and that was the time Facebook had just come on the horizon. And that was mainly a platform for you to keep in touch with your friends, family, and tell them news about, what's happening in your life and all that. So I used to mainly use it at that point of time because my children were very small at that point of time, to mostly post pictures about my kids and brag about, जो होता है हर नए parent में, कि मेरा बच्चा इतना smart है, मेरे बच्चे ने आज बोलना सीखा, चालना सीखा, whatever, everybody does that. So I used to do that. But then I realized that sometimes this is a platform where if I want to express something, I could just write whatever I felt about anything, about politics, about religion. And it was reaching people. And at that point of time, my wall was not even open. So somewhere between 2009 and 2012, I started expressing myself a little about what I felt about politics, about religion, about anything that basically interested me. और 2013 में जब 2014 के इलेक्शंस की पहले की बात है, जब ये चर्चा हो रही थी कि देश का अगला प्रधानमंत्री किसे बनना चाहिए, तो मुझे ऐसा लगा कि मोदी जी को बनना चाहिए. तो मैंने अपने वॉल पे एक पोस्ट लिखी थी. तो मैंने उसमें लिखा था कि मोदी जी हैज़ एडमिनिस्ट्रेटिव एक्सपीरियंस, ही हैज़ रूल्ड गुजरात वेरी वेल, सो आई थिंक ही शुड बी द प्राइम मिनिस्टर ऑफ इंडिया. मेरी पर्सनल व्यूज़ थे वो. And that point of time, my Facebook wall was not even open for public comments. It was open for my friends and my friends of friends. And some people came and started commenting. Some people said, yes, we agree. Some people said, we don't agree. That's okay. But suddenly, one 75-year-old man with white beard and, a person who would have been old enough to be my father, he comes on my Facebook wall unannounced, unasked for. He was my friend's friend. And he writes a comment there saying that out of context, okay, that was his first comment, completely out of context, he writes, and I quote him, I still remember those words, if you like Modi so much, why don't you go sleep with him? आपको मोदी अगर इतने अच्छे लगते हैं तो आप भी नहीं बोला था उसने, तो तुम उनके साथ सोती क्यों नहीं हो? These were the exact words. This was the time when I had just started expressing myself on social media. And I was shocked to see this language. Today I can talk about it in an auditorium full of 2,000 people. It doesn't matter a bit to me. Because it's not a reflection on me, it's a reflection on the lack of etiquette, manners, and complete lack of humanity of that person. तो ये मेरा दोष नहीं है. जब कोई मुझसे इतनी गंदी भाषा में बात करता है, तो वो उस आदमी की गंदी नाले के कीड़े जैसी मनस्थिति को बताती है. उसका मेरे वर्तन से कोई संबंध नहीं है. But that knowledge came later. That day, I was really upset. And I'm telling this to you because a lot of you might be in that stage right now. You have just started expressing yourself on social media. And yes, you will get trolled mercilessly. There'll be comments on you, there'll be comments on your looks, there'll be comments on your character, they'll try to post random pictures, they'll try to morph your pictures with some people, and they'll make crass comments on your, on everything, on your family, pretty much everything. So when that happened, I stopped writing at that point of time. मेरे बच्चे भी बहुत छोटे थे तब. And then I just shut off the light, the laptop, and I took a break. But पूरा दिन वो sentence मेरे दिमाग में घूमता रहा. अभी भी मैं भूली नहीं हूँ वो. But पूरा दिन, at that point of time, that sentence hurt me a lot. Because I wasn't strong enough to be able to handle it. उसके बाद in the evening, my husband came home from work, and then he took one look at my face, and he said, what happened? तब तक उसको मालूम था कि हाँ मैं लिखती हूँ सोशल मीडिया पे थोड़ा बहुत, but he didn't know the extent of what I write or how I write or whatever. So then I opened the laptop and I showed him the comment, I showed him the person's place, and I told him, this really upset me and I don't know what to do. Should I just stop writing on social media on public subjects? Should I continue? I don't know what to do. I'm feeling confused. अर्जुन जैसी स्थिति हो गई थी मेरी थोड़ी सी. So my husband looked at me and he said, see, you are a strong woman. I am not going to advise you either way, whether you should continue writing or whether you should stop writing. वो totally is your decision. You are quite capable of handling both the flak as well as the bookcase. But I'll tell you one thing. And he told me 5 words which have been imprinted on my mind since then. And those words have given me the strength to be who I am today. He said, just remember one thing, if you stop, they win. If you stop, they win. क्योंकि वो चाहते ही यही हैं. वो चाहते हैं कि तुम बोलना बंद करो. वो चाहते हैं कि तुम्हारी आवाज़ बंद हो. वो चाहते हैं कि तुम अपने आप को हिंदू मत कहो. इसीलिए तो वो तुम्हारे अगेंस्ट ऐसे बोलेंगे. जब उनके पास कोई मुद्दे नहीं होंगे, जब उनके पास तुम्हारे लॉजिक को काउंटर करने के लिए कोई आर्ग्यूमेंट नहीं होंगे, तब वो तुम पे पर्सनल अटैक करेंगे. आपको या तो उसकी आदत डाल लो या फिर लिखना बंद कर दो. बट द चॉइस इज योर्स. बट प्लीज अंडरस्टैंड, अगर तुम रुकी तो वो जीत गए. एंड आई थॉट अबाउट इट एंड आई रियलाइज दैट दैट्स ट्रू. एंड now that I have 500,000 followers on Twitter, I realized that the trolling and those vicious attacks have only gotten stronger. Because as my voice gets amplified, they fear it more and they want to shut it down. क्योंकि तब मेरी आवाज़ सिर्फ 13,000 लोगों तक पहुंचती थी, अब मेरी आवाज़ एक महीने में 2 करोड़ लोगों तक पहुंचती है. Those are my Twitter statistics. मैं किसी भी न्यूज़ चैनल में काम नहीं करती, किसी से पेमेंट नहीं मिलता मुझे, बट स्टिल आई एम वन ऑफ द टॉप, आई थिंक आई एम नंबर 2 फीमेल जर्नलिस्ट विथ ट्विटर एंगेजमेंट कंसिस्टेंटली. And that is why the attacks on me not only have continued, they have gotten much more vicious. There have been threats to my children. I've had to go to the cops. There have been obscene comments on my husband, on his work, where he went on assignments. That has been thrown out. My husband has been called gay. My character has been, there have been memes with my handshake with the Prime Minister, the 5 seconds handshake. There have been memes and there have been photoshops of that image going viral everywhere. Sometime before Goa election, somebody from Goa started a Facebook page which used photographs from an escort site, a prostitution site basically, and they made a fake profile in my name and they called my name as Shefali Vaishya. Even that has happened. I've had to go to the cops multiple times. But the point is, the attacks don't stop. They will never stop. And the more stronger you get, the more amplified your voice gets, the attacks will become more vicious. Because they fear you now. They fear your voice. So please be prepared. Understand that अगर आपके against criticism होने लगा है, अगर आपके against attack बढ़ने लगे हैं, तो take it as a certificate. Take it as a medal. It's proof that your voice is reaching out there, and it's proof that they fear you. And don't get scared. Of course, sometimes you might have to go to the cops. Sometimes you might have to take other actions, like not reveal where you're going or not post personal pictures of your family, which I have tried to do. But don't fear, because 99% of these threats and attacks are basically people who frankly, pardon me for the language, but who lack the cojones, for the lack of a better word, to take you on upfront. So they'll make these fake IDs and they'll make these comments on you. अगर मैं कुछ भी लिखूं ट्विटर पे, forget political. If I write about my saris or about temple architecture or about my garden or about my dogs, anything, there'll be at least 5 people on my Twitter timeline with fake IDs who will come and their only job is to put snake pictures and say his Nagin or something like that. If I had 100 rupees each time somebody posted a snake emoji on my tweets, I swear I would be a multimillionaire today. But unfortunately, that doesn't happen. Another thing, the other side, when it cannot counter your arguments, when they fear you, they'll start calling you a paid troll. Now, I have a question. I am on the internet, on my own money, on my own device, with my own data connection, on my own time. Nobody is paying me a salary for it. And I am being called a paid troll by the journalists who are basically taking salary for saying this from their employers. So who is the paid troll exactly? Who's getting paid here? But this is another thing. When what you say starts to trouble them, they will only attack you personally. They will never attack what you're saying because they can't. Because they don't have the logic or the intelligence to counter what you're saying. So they'll just label you. They'll call you a petrol, they'll call you a Sangi. In my case, they call me Sadhvi Shefali or snake or whatever it is. But basically, they'll try to demonize you. They'll try to make you irrelevant, personally attack you, so that what you say automatically gets, or at least they try to do that. It doesn't happen these days, but they do try to do that. So that is also one thing you should be prepared for. Now you will be saying that I'm painting a very dismal picture. You know, if you're getting so many threats, if your family is being insulted, if your personal life is getting uchhalod like this, why are you on social media? Why are you writing what you're writing? Believe me, there are times when I've asked myself this question. Many times. Especially when the attacks get very vicious. There are times when I've sat down and asked myself, why am I doing this? I don't need to. I'm not dependent on anyone for money. I can just live like a, typical kitty party wife, have kitty parties, go for manicures, go for pedicures, go for massages, write about, my latest Armani dress or whatever it is that people are supposed to write. Or I can simply write about the things, non-political things, like my gardening, like my dogs, or temple architecture. That wouldn't get me so much of hate. But why am I still writing stuff about my being an Hindu? And why I am not mincing words while I'm saying it? Because, simply put, I have a very selfish interest in doing this. I want my grandchildren to have the right to remain a Hindu. And today, if I don't speak up, if I don't say the things that need to be said, somebody needs to play on front foot. Hindus cannot always play defensively. There has to be a Virendra Sehwag. You have to go out there and say things that have to be said. Sometimes I'm asked about my language. Why do you use such strong language? I use strong language against people who understand only that language. If you talk to me politely, I will reply back politely. But if you're rude to me and if you make personal attacks on me, I have no obligation to be nice to you. Hindus have been too nice to their enemies for ages now, no longer. You have to, in Sanskrit, there is a shloka, that half of it that says, Shatam prati shatyam. You have to be, किसने बोला था? I think सुरेंद्र पुनिया जी ने बोला था कि डकैत के साथ लड़ने के लिए उससे बड़ा डकैत होना पड़ता है, चोर के साथ लड़ने के लिए उससे बड़ा चोर होना पड़ता है. भले आप चोरी करो ना करो, लेकिन आपको चोरी कैसे करना वो पता होना पड़ता है. So if the people opposite you are using foul language against you, I have no obligation to be nice to them, and I don't care for their certificates anyway. Exactly. The other thing, this is one more thing that I want to talk about, and I can't thank Nageshwar Rao ji enough for saying this. He said that Hindus are very emotional people, they're not rational. And that is true for digital Hindus also, and I count myself also in that, but I have learned over time. So what happens is that the other side is very, very good at playing the victim. They all have platinum victim cards in their wallets, and they use it at every possible opportunity. For example, some person who is a journalist or who is a, grade B actress who doesn't get too much publicity or whatever, suddenly wants publicity. So what will she do? And this is mostly true for women, is that she will make a tweet or make a Facebook post which is very, very abusive towards the beliefs of Hindus. So they'll either post something derogatory against Sri Ram or Sri Krishna or Durga or something. And it is calculated. It is written to make you feel angry, make the Hindus feel angry. And we do get angry. Obviously, there's nothing wrong in it. So what happens is that, that woman, any woman, she will put up a post saying Lord Ram is this and this because he behaved like this with Mata Sita. And there will be 100 replies to that tweet. Out of that, 99 replies will be saying, no, this is not true. This is a shloka from Valmiki Ramayana that clearly negates what you're saying. Ma Sita was strong, whatever. But there'll be one emotional response, which will abuse that person and which will say, go, whatever. So what they will do is they're waiting for that one response. So they'll take screenshots of that one response. They will put it up and they will write nice victim narratives and say that, look at me, these Hindutva trolls abused me, oh poor abla nari I am, there is nobody who can take care of me. And look at these Hindutva trolls, this is how they treat me. I request all of you, particularly the women in this auditorium, to be more active on social media and to ensure that whatever you say it with emphasis, say it with assertiveness, say it with passion, say it with truth, and just make sure that it's factual. That's all. Thank you.
Thanks for watching Nationalist Hub. తెలుగు మీడియా చూపించని మరిన్ని వాస్తవ కథనాలు వార్తలను మిస్ కాకుండా ఉండేందుకు మా ఛానల్ను సబ్స్క్రైబ్ చేసుకోవడం మర్చిపోకండి. ఎప్పటికప్పుడు మా వీడియోస్ నోటిఫికేషన్స్ను పొందేందుకు పక్కనే ఉన్న బెల్ ఐకాన్ను క్లిక్ చేయండి. మీ అమూల్యమైన సలహాలను కామెంట్స్ రూపంలో తెలుపుతూ వీడియోను లైక్ చేయండి, 10 మందికి షేర్ చేయండి. జై హింద్.